We are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Water Wisdom Podcast, episode 15. Like, how did we even get here? Lucky 15 is what we're calling it. Why? Because I have one of my absolute favorite soul sisters. She is like the big sister that I never had. I have her now. I found her. CJ. CJ Boyd is who is with me today. I met CJ about 3 years ago. We have never met in the physical. It's going to happen soon, though. And we actually live too damn close to not have met in the physical yet.
No, I keep
So we
saying
need to
that
make it
too.
happen, CJ. But what we're going to talk about with CJ today is the usual. Like, we're going to hear about her awakening journey because it's a beautiful story. We're going to hear about how she gained the courage to step into mission because our goal here is to inspire you into mission. Then we're going to look at her crystal water signature as experienced through Monica Painter. And then we'll tell you where you can access all of her offerings. So I want to start out by saying I'm going to be working on not using so many crutch words today as I'm critiquing myself with deep love. I noticed that I use the word so a lot. And I just already used it a couple times. And the word just. I say just and so very, very often. So I'm going to work on that. So I'm going to work on that today. I appreciate you all being patient and loving and kind on this growth journey. This is like a whole new can of worms. I always get nervous when I do this because it definitely feels like it stretches me, and that's why I do it. So I'm going to preface this with CJ. You and I are going to set the intention to keep it clean. CJ and I, we get riled up and we like to drop F-bombs together. We don't cuss at each other. We cuss with each other. And we're going to try to keep this PG for all of these platforms that this is streaming to. So CJ,
Yes, ma'am.
we're setting that intention right now. Okay.
Okay.
Get your water, everyone. Get your water. Take a deep breath. And we are setting the intention now that the codes, only the highest frequency codes that serve us all on the highest, flow into this water. And as we drink it, it amplifies the codes that are coming through to support us to touch, experience, create our heaven on earth. That's the intention for today. So, Nastrovia, which is Polish for cheers, I think. Okay, Miss CJ.
Ooh.
How are you today?
I am feeling really excited. I love every time that you and I are in the same space because I just feel like so magical. And like every time that I'm in an activation of yours or it just in your energy, everything just feels like so up leveled for me. So I'm in awe. And I'm not gonna lie. Like you said, we've known each other for a while, but I still get starstruck when I watch you and I'm in a space with you because it's just like your deep energy, your frequency, your vibration is just something that I've never felt when I've been in this space with anybody else. And if you know anything about me, I don't say things just to sugarcoat or make you feel good. I say it from the heart, and I truly, honestly believe that. And I feel like my life has up leveled from just knowing you. And like you said, we've never met in person, but you have cracked me open in a way that I cannot even explain to anybody. So I'm just honored to be here.
Wow. Well, ditto, Queen. I feel all the same. There is definitely a deep sisterly bond between the two of us. And thank you so much. I receive that with so much gratitude and freaking amplify all of it and send it right back to you because I feel the same. I cannot imagine this journey without you. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. And I'm so excited to hear your story. So let's dive in and hold some space for CJ as she shares her wisdom. I want to start out by asking you about your awakening journey. Tell us how this came about for you. Like, how did you come into this awareness that life wasn't what they taught us?
All right. So, I'm like everybody else. Go to school, get a good job, get married, have 2.5 children, white picket fence, big house, all the things. And I did all those things and I was miserable. I literally could be in a room full of people and feel totally alone. And, got married and I had kids, and everybody's like, oh, you should be so happy. And, from the outside looking in, we were happy. We had the house, we had the kids, we had the things, but inside it was miserable. And I was like, there's got to be more to life than this. And I lived it my entire life. My parents were, arguing, fighting as I was growing up. My parents got divorced. My mom was miserable. I remember my mom being miserable my whole life. And I thought to myself, I have married a man just like my father. This is what I have to look forward to. And I was looking at my mom going, I've never seen her smile, like genuine smile, happiness. Yes, she was happy when she was with us kids because us kids were her life, but not anything about just her. And I thought there's got to be more to life than this. And so it was a very abusive relationship, like literally held at gunpoint, knife point. And I was like, I have to get out of this because this is not the way it's supposed to be. And he came from a family, and his father told me, he goes, well, your vows are till death do you part. And if that's what it takes. And I was like, what the hell? Heck. I mean, people can't be expected to live like this. And so I thought there has got to be more. And I have to love myself enough to leave with nothing on my back, like literally with the clothes on my back. That's all I left with, because I knew if I did that, my children would be alive, and so would I. And so I left, and it was horrible. And I went through, the guilt, the shame, the regret, the what if. You could have just made do. You could have just stayed. You'd be with your children and you'd have these things. But I knew that I was created for something more. My purpose here was bigger and more than that, than to just resign myself to the fact of it is what it is. And that phrase, to this day, anytime I hear someone say, well, it is what it is, I just cringe inside, and I'm like, no, there's so much more. And so that's kind of where my awakening started. And so then I met the love of my life, my soulmate, and things were just really crazy. And I felt a different energy about myself and about him. And it's like, life is good. And so we got married. I had 2 kids from my marriage. He had 2 from his. And then we had 3 together. And, everything's great. And you think love is going to conquer all. And then in the back of my head were all these things from childhood that I never dealt with. All the things from my first marriage, the trauma that I never dealt with, I shoved it under the rug and like, okay, I'm going to put on a happy face and I'm going to go through, and then this love is going to make everything great. Well, it did for 21 years. And then I felt like I'm doing a disservice to myself by not really being who I am. I mean, I was allowed to be who I wanted to be in our marriage and our relationship, but it's like, there's more to CJ and I don't know what that is. So again, self-imploded, got divorced. And what really started the awakening to the deepest level to my core is that within 3 months' time, my 21-year marriage imploded. My cafe that I opened to try to prove myself, was like on the cusp, but I was like, can I do it? Can I not do it? I'm not really sure. And then my youngest son of my 7 children was leaving for the Air Force, and I was no longer going to be a hands-on 24/7 mom. And I was like, I have no idea who I am. People would be like, well, who are you? I'd be like, I'm just a mom. I'm just a wife. I'm just and fill in the blank. And I was like, wait, you're not just anything. You're CJ. You're a woman. You are just CJ, and that should be good enough. And that's where stuff really started to crack wide open. Like, I'm meant for more. I'm here on purpose. I have a purpose. I have to figure out what that was. And so when I came into this online space, it was like the inner work. And I was like, yeah, inner work. Think good thoughts. The thoughts become things. And I was like, wait, it's true. You created all this crap in your life in the past. You can create something really amazing and really epic. And so that's when I started the journey of like law of attraction, Abraham Hicks, those types of things, The Secret, where I was like, okay, I can create some pretty epic stuff because I've created all of this crap already. So there's got to be more. So that's where it really started for me.
Wow. Okay. I want to talk about the timeline a little bit. So let's go back. You were married the first time. How long ago?
I got married. Funny story. Only guy I ever dated in high school. Started dating him when I was 14. Got engaged at 16. Married when I was 19. Divorced when I was 24. So we were together for that length of time. And then I met my husband like 6 months after my divorce was final. And it was like love at first sight. Like we just knew. It's like that bells and whistles and all the things and the vibration and the energy. And we got married 6 months after my divorce was final. And so then we
Okay.
were married for 21 years.
Wow. And so you guys divorced after 21 years of being married.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then you came back together.
Yes. So that's what I love most about this, because you feel that energy, you feel that person. People talk about soulmates, and I've always been like, that's bull. There's Soulmates aren't a thing, but I knew in my heart, I was like, I love him so much. I have to go. I have to get out of here. I have to deal with me, because not only am I doing, making myself unhappy, I'm making him miserable too. He couldn't say anything right. You cannot accept someone's love unconditionally and be treated in a way and accept that if you don't love yourself. And so that's what I realized. I'm like, I love you, but I got to go. I have to figure my own stuff out in order for me to give you the love that you deserve. And so we were apart, and we both dove into our inner work and really did a lot of cleaning on the inside, and then came back together. It was like a year and a half later. It was his birthday. I'm like, hey, I want to go out to dinner. You just want to go out? And we've been together ever since. So,
Oh, that is beautiful. So you grew up really quickly, really early.
yeah. Like
And it's,
my mom had to go get a job. My dad left when I was 14. My mom had to get a job. She had never worked outside the home. She had to get a job. My dad did not pay child support. And so I basically raised my two younger brothers. They were 6 and 8 at the time. And, I played mom.
wow. So you didn't really have a childhood.
No.
Okay. So thank you for sharing that. Fast forward to, are you telling me that you didn't really, uh, like have that like hit until like 3 years ago when you first came into the online space?
Yeah. Like the first
So
time, like, okay, my
like
marriage,
that like, wait a minute, something bigger is going on here. This is a bunch of bullshit they've been feeding us.
yeah.
When did that hit come in?
When, I had gotten divorced, my cafe had closed because of a pandemic, and Asher had left for the military. And I was like, what am I going to do? I have to do something. I have no money coming in. And so I dove into the online space thinking, I need to have money, and it needs to come quickly, and I'm desperate, and I need, and I want, and I need, and I need, and I need. And guess what I got? More desperate, more desperation. Scammers, people like, oh, telling me rainbows and unicorns. And I was like, okay, so I followed all the rules before. It got me to this point. I'm still miserable. I'm still unhappy. I'm the most negative skull on the planet, and my life has imploded. And so I dove into the space, and they're like, okay, what is it that you want? And I'm like, I'm 47 years old. I have no idea. I have no idea what I want. So I never, ever asked myself, what do I want? Who am I as a woman, as a human, outside of those labels that society put on, or the roles that I took on and, took on and said, okay, now because I have this label, this is what I'm worth. I had never, ever thought that for myself before. So to sit with that was really scary. Like, to be like, okay, you have to figure out who you are, and you get to choose. Never before had I been given the chance to say, you get to choose what you want. Here's what you need to do. These are the rules. This is the hoops you need to jump through. But never had anybody said, you get to make a decision. You get to decide what you want. At 47.
Wow. So your awakening and your stepping into mission pretty much happened simultaneously.
Pretty much.
Wow, that's big. That's
It's
huge.
huge, because what I realized was I had to figure out who I was as a woman, as a human, what I wanted on the planet. And then when I was like, me, I need to prove myself to everybody else. I need to prove I'm capable. I need to prove my worth, prove my value. And then it's like, stop being selfish, but it's not about you. It's you going through and learning and doing and uncovering all that crap and working through it all, because you're meant to help empower other women to know that they're worth more before it takes them 3 decades. You get to help women crack that open way earlier. So the service mission part of it started when I was like, it's okay to be selfish and figure out what you want, but now it's bigger than you, because you're not the only one feeling this way. There are so many, hundreds of people that you see walk by on the street that they're miserable. You can see it in their face. You walk by them, they don't make eye contact. Women with no life in them, no shine in their eyes, no smile, and it just makes me sad. And I was just like, ding, 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 you're here for a purpose, and it's so much bigger than you. Get out of your own way and go serve that purpose.
Yeah. It's that realization that service to self is service to others. that it has to be a both and, right?
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
get to fill that cup and then allow yourself to be that overflowing vessel to the world around you. There really is no other way to do it.
Right.
If you're doing it another way,
It
I
doesn't
don't
work.
want to judge it, but it doesn't work. You're not doing it right. And what will happen is the same thing that we have all lived all of our lives is you give from a space of emptiness until you can't give anymore.
Yeah, there's nothing left.
Mhm. Isn't that interesting that we are taught that, through religious programming, through ancestral, ties and patterns. And so what's coming through for me now is I would love to know about your religious experience. What sort of religious experience did you have growing up?
All right. So, as a kid growing up, my dad's mom was actually a Pentecostal pastor, speaking in tongues, all the things. And I was scared to go to church. I literally was scared to death to be in church because that freaked me out. And I was like, what in the hell is happening here? I don't want to be here. So I had a really bad taste in my mouth for that. As a kid growing up, we went to a Protestant church. My parents went to a Protestant church for a little bit. Um, my dad couldn't sit in church because he was sinning all the time, and it was like so uncomfortable for him. So we stopped going. And then when I got started dating at 14, he was a Catholic, altar boy, all the things. So I went to the Catholic church, and in order to get married, I had to turn Catholic. So I went through all the classes, religious classes, all the marriage thing, all the things, turned Catholic. When I left and I got divorced, the Catholic Church reached out to me and said that in order for him to get remarried, because he had met somebody else and wanted to get married in the church, I had to denounce that I was a Catholic and basically say that my children were bastards. And I was like, no, that is not going to happen. I am not going to say that. My children don't need to be, seen as that they don't exist and they were born out of wedlock because they were born in our marriage. So that was a really bad experience. And then when I met my husband, he was Baptist, fundamental independent Baptist, totally different. Like, we would read the Bible together. He knew scripture because he was a junior bus driver, a junior pastor at his church before I met him. And so we were really into reading the Bible, and I could quote scripture, out my butt. And then when we got divorced, that kind of went away. And so I am very spiritual to myself. I read the Bible all the time. When I had my cafe, my Bible literally was on my cafe counter every day. And they used to joke, the pastors in the town, I have like 7 churches, and the pastors would come in and they would just sit down and be like, we're going to pray today. Bring your Bible. Let's go. And we would talk back and forth. And I was like, I don't know where this stuff is coming from, but I know what they're saying and I feel it. And it was a thing. And my kids were like, whoa, what are you, the pastor whisperer? Because the pastors would come in and we'd have these really in-depth, emotional, intense conversation. And I was like, where is that coming from? There's something bigger than me, something higher than me that's giving me this voice. And I just was like, I never want to lose that. I never want to lose that feeling of knowing that I'm connected and that I'm supported and I'm loved and not judged.
That is so beautiful. And this is that core truth that all religions share, right? That knowing that was flowing through you, that is flowing through you. So now what's coming up is, do you feel like that program, that template, right? Like, I see it as a net placed over us to keep us from expanding too far beyond, from becoming too sovereign, from developing that direct connection, right?
Yeah.
We're taught to believe that there needs to be like an intermediary. I think that's the right word. Do
Yeah.
you feel like you have transmuted that, or that you're actively doing that? Where do you feel about that? Do you know?
I feel like I'm constantly transmuting it. I feel like, like you said, there was a net. And when you said that, it made me think of like when you have a cherry tree and you put this net over it so the birds can't get to the cherries. That's how I felt like. Here I am. And when I was taught, you look to God and God is your savior and he's going to do all things and all things are possible through him. And you're only goal is to say the things that are right and worthy and hold him to this high standard, and that's your only way to get to heaven. And now I'm like, no, he created me. He's inside me. The divine is in me every single day. And that's why I started my TV show, Awaken the Warrior. It's like every single thing, every person has that point in time in their life where the spirit comes in and they're like, enough's enough. Let's go. Awaken that inside of you. And that warrior moment is divine inside you. And I feel like every single one of us have that connection. And whatever your belief is, that thing inside you, that spirit, that divine wants to be let out. And it's not supposed to be held tight and like you can only say the right things and you can only do the right things. And there's these protocols you have to fulfill. We're meant to believe and feel at a level that most of us aren't capable of. But we're being nudged to do that every single day if we tap into that.
Absolutely. May I share an experience with you
Yes.
that I had? I feel this connection with you around Jesus, who I'm going to refer to as Yahshua. I was referring to him as Y-E, Yeshua, but I just got gifted to me a beautiful Essene Bible. And if you've heard of Jesus and the Essenes, this is the culture that is completely left out of the Bible, I think, that actually taught Mother Mary and Yahshua, Y-A is the way they refer to him in this Essene Bible, and Mary Magdalene actually taught them all of the magic that is really here for us, trained them to be able to hold that frequency, that Christ consciousness frequency that the world was needing at that time. We took it and totally effed it up, but that's besides the point, because here we are now experiencing the truth of that. And so this is the experience I had. And the connection for us is this. I feel a resonance with you around your relationship with Yahshua as a little girl. That's what I feel. I see us as sisters, very young, loving the F out of Jesus. And for me growing up, I remember when I look back on my experience with him, that I was always reaching for something that I never really quite felt I could attain or experience fully. And being a female too, you recognize now, looking back, the lack of feminine energy within any religion, but especially the Catholic religion, which is where I grew up. We have Mother Mary within that faith, and she's venerated. I think that's the right word. I'm using big words. I don't really necessarily know the meaning, but I'm just going with the flow here. So laugh if I'm using it wrong. Anyway, so I could feel a disconnect. Like it didn't feel right to me. I just wasn't quite sure why it didn't feel right to me. And so recently I met a man who activated something really, really deep within my core that has everything to do with allowing the divine to really hold you and really experiencing the purity of that divine masculine energy that holds you and provides a level of safety that Yahshua provides, that Christ consciousness experienced through a man, that the way that you can experience that. And so after this conversation with this man, I had this like mystical experience with Jesus. And what I heard in my mind was removal of, what was it? False God template. Removal of false God template. And it was like this net was shown to me, just kind of being pulled off of my field. And this feeling came in that I've never experienced before. It was like the truth of Jesus, of Yahshua. It was like the purity, the essence of his energy. And it felt so magical and so divine. And I wept from the depths of me in a way that I have never wept before. And what I saw was being with Jesus when he died. Do I know that I was necessarily with him when he died for real? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't seek to really go into other timelines anymore. I like to be present now. But I will tell you that whether I did experience that in a past or parallel life, or whether I was experiencing the collective pain of that net being placed on us, it was big and
Yeah.
it was profound. And I'm sharing this with you because this is what's happening right now for all of us who are tuning in is whatever layer of that false god template you are ready to be removed and to integrate in this now moment, it's happening right now. I feel it happening for all of us. And so drink a lot of water,
Yep.
get outside and allow yourself to integrate this and welcome the experience in. So thank you for sharing what you've shared around religion because this is big and present for the majority of everyone.
Yeah.
You know, most people have some sort of religious upbringing. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. Does that bring anything up for you?
Like when you said that, when you said like you felt the net being pulled off, like I felt this like, like you're in a backdraft of a fire. That's what I felt like. My face, everything just hot, like, and just
I have
what I want
chills.
to say, anybody watching is be open to that. Don't be scared of that. Don't feel like, oh, that's wrong if I do that. Be open to whatever it brings up for you because that message is what's meant for you in that moment right then, right there. And just be open to receiving it and be like, don't try and, make meaning of it. Just feel it. There, you don't have to explain what it means. You just get to feel it. And that's what's really magical is now I just get to feel everything. I don't question it. I don't doubt it. I don't try to make sense of it. I just feel it and go, okay, I don't need to know what it means. I'm meant to feel it. That's what it's about. It's about feeling.
Oh, that is huge. Releasing the need to know the why, the
Yeah.
what is going on, and just allowing it to move through you and ground it into the physical. Breathe,
Yeah.
do the breath work, do the things to support your body.
And
That's
funny
beautiful.
story, the other day you told me about the Joshua, and I was like, it's Joshua, like Joshua. And I kept saying that to myself. And I got in the shower later in the day and I was like, I'm going to try this and see if that works. And I was like, Joshua, Joshua, Joshua. And like my whole entire body was like vibrating. I'm sitting in the shower and the water's trickling over me and my whole body's vibrating. And I'm like, and I never ever experienced that before. So that's something like when you say you're giving people an activation, you get really activate people because that would have never happened for me had you and I not had that conversation. So you obviously activated something in me and I was open to receive that. So I got to have that feeling. I got to have that magic happen to me because of conversation that you and I had. And I think that's just so powerful that, we don't have, I wasn't going out seeking that. No, we were sharing a conversation and then I was like, I'm going to try it and see what happens. I've never had that happen. And you and I've had conversations in the past where like, but how do I know if my guide is there or if I can't feel it? How do I know? There are signs all over. You just got to be open to, again, receiving them, allowing yourself to feel them and not questioning or doubting or going, okay, what's next? No, just be present and feel it. That's it. That's what it's about. It's just being present and feeling that amazing experience without having to know what it means.
I love that. And good job because you manifested these words through me, right? We're the only one in the room. You're the only one in the room. So you manifested these words through me. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and this is not a judgment. Everyone is having their own unique experience. And so we're just sharing, what's present for us and what has shifted for us and what feels good. I want to feel good. I was sick of feeling like crap all the time. And I feel really good in the simplicity and connecting with the earth and believing in a higher power without defining, like, what is that higher power? Who are they? How do I access them? And so this takes me to something else that I would love to talk to you about. And then we'll look at the water crystals is breath work. I want to talk about your experience with breath work because I noticed a massive shift in your presence,
Hmm.
in your field, in your like activation, like just really it's about your presence when you started doing breath work. That is something, the somatic piece is something that I love to preach about because a lot of people forget that piece as they are doing the quantum work and kind of get lost in those upper chakras and wanting to escape through meditation as opposed to like
Hmm.
really being present with the body, really loving the vessel that we have been gifted. And something that you can use to activate that presence is breath work. Can you tell me about your breath work experience?
Well, it's funny, and I go back to the time when I was 14 and my parents were fighting all the time, and I would lay in my bed and I would be like, sobbing, and you're like, you're never breathing fully, like always just like catching your breath. And then I realized in order to let that stuff go, I had to breathe fully. I had to like, and so I would find myself going, just trying to stop crying, just trying to calm down. And then fast forward, I've given birth 5 times. No medication, no nothing, all through the power of breathing. Like in my brain, going, okay, breathe in, breathe out. It's inhales and exhales. And I'm constantly saying that. Life is a series of inhales and exhales. That's it. But I never really realized the power of the breath until like recently, like within the past like 4 or 5 months, like really going in and having somebody leading me through a breathwork session. And I've never really like had stuff come up that intense. Like the first time I did breathwork with a lady, and it was like getting rid of all the chinks in your armor and all the things. And I literally, through the breathing, I felt like I was in like this desert, and I had all these, and I don't know if anybody is aware of like the haka before a New Zealand game. I had all these people around me in like dressed like they were like kilts, but they were like shorter and they weren't as colorful, but all these big dudes in these things. And they were like doing the haka thing, and they were all around me, and like they were kicking up the dirt. And I'm like, what is that? And it was like all this thing, I can't explain it, but it was like all this thing like shrouding me, like holding me. And I just sobbed uncontrollably for like the 20 minutes, and you go through and you release all that and you write it all down. And it's like the warrior went within you. And I had already been doing Awaken the Warrior for months. And it was like, this is a new level of that. Your warrior wants to get out. You are held. You are supported. What are you doing? Why are you still holding your breath? I think a lot of us, that's what we're doing. We're going through life with bated breath, waiting for the next shoe to fall or the next thing to happen or, the next thing to implode, where it's like, you breathe it all in. Everything is an experience. If you breathe it in and you breathe it out, you're allowing that shit to, allowing that to move through you. And, you're creating spaciousness for all this amazing stuff. And ever since I was really intentional about it and like doing the breath work and moving while you're breathing and doing the things. And I've experienced several different people because I'm like, okay, if this person brings this out and I feel this, let's try this person. And every person that I've done it with, they have a different technique and something different has come out. And I think I needed all those people to facilitate that for me to do it. But I use breathwork every single day. I breathe consciously, intentionally every single day. If I'm feeling stressed out, I breathe and I release it. If I'm angry, I breathe and I release it. And so breathwork for me, it really has. It's like, I feel like every time that I'm in a breathwork session and I exhale, I'm like removing layers of skin, like layers of all that stuff. I'm just releasing it. And I know that I'm held and I'm supported because my breath it's what gives me life. So I'm supported by that life giving breath. I'm not scared, where before I was like, people want to do, these healing sessions. And I'm like, no, that kind of freaks me out. Breath work, I'm like, no, give me more. I want more of that. And so I'm constantly telling my kids, if one of my kids called me and they're like, Mom, I'm stressed, just breathe. And they're like, you just can't breathe through it. And everything's fine. I'm like, you can. And I've witnessed it and I've experienced it. And so now my daughters will come and they're like, yeah, I know, you're right. Just breathe. And it's just like breath work. I cannot say more enough amazing stuff about it. But for me, it's what's really changed the things. And like you said, I think back to the day that everything totally shifted and you said you witnessed it. And it was because of breath work. And that just landed with me now that that's the day that it happened.
Yeah, huge. Oh, let it flow. Thank you for sharing your tears with us. So I said it. You said shit and I said so. So let's say them at the same time. It's okay. It's okay. I heard someone once describe the breath and the body as the lover and the beloved. That the body is the beloved and the breath is the lover.
Oh,
And what a shift can occur in our lives, a massive shift, a breakthrough when we start experiencing the world around us as our lover and not something to conquer,
that's deep.
not our enemy, right? And what happens for us when we start to breathe consciously, breathe with intention, low into the belly, we're activating our parasympathetic nervous system, telling our body that we are safe. And without even knowing it, you're activating your body's innate ability to heal, to hold a higher frequency, and you're activating, again, without even knowing it, something deep within your subconscious that is telling your body, the world is my lover. The breath is my lover. That there's nothing to be afraid of. That was all a lie. That we get to have this beautiful, soft, magical experience with the world around us. There's nothing to conquer. Nothing can hurt us. Nothing can touch the soul, right? The soul is infinite, massive, huge. And when we breathe, we are amplifying our connection with that bigger part of us that has the keys, all the keys.
Yeah. I love
And
that analogy.
yeah, just take a breath, just breathe. That's the best advice that you could possibly give your children.
Yeah.
Just breathe. There's a beautiful comment here that popped up a little while ago that I would like to share with you, CJ. It says, I am in tears, speaks so loudly to me. I knew there was something beautiful about you both when I first saw your faces.
Oh,
I have chills all over. I am so sorry I cannot see who said that. If you pop your name in the chat, I would love to shout out your name. Thank you so much for that beautiful compliment.
and what's really landing for me is that I like feel that at a soul level. I'm like receiving that, and anytime in the past, I'd be like, oh no, it's nothing. Like, but I really feel like that's what we're here for. We are meant to impact women and men and make them really feel something. And that's what it's all about. And to be able to do that and to know that and to just honor that we're able to do that and we're witnessing somebody and they're witnessing us is
Beautiful.
next level.
Yeah. And this is Charlotte, my beautiful friend Charlotte. I love you, Charlotte. Thank you so much. And I see a web. I'm thinking of Charlotte's
Yeah,
web,
yeah.
the ripple. This is the ripple effect, right? This is why we do this podcast, because the ripple is so much bigger than we can possibly imagine. Just in having these magical conversations together, just to vibe. I mean, this is the best job ever. And if watching this or listening to this is not outside of you. Like, I'm just Monica Painter. I'm just someone who was brave enough to say, I want a podcast. I have something valuable to share with the world. And so I'm going to do it. So if you have the inclination, the desire, it's not hard. Just YouTube that shit. YouTube taught me how to do this, right? Shout out to YouTube.
That's awesome.
Okay. So, are you ready to see the water crystals? Is
I
everyone ready? If you are listening to this on an audio platform, if YouTube, or come to my private Facebook group called Water Wizards. At minute mark about 40, you can see this beautiful water signature that is CJ as experienced through Monica Painter. So what I did, I keep saying so. I can edit those so's out, can't I? So. Let me just get them all out. So. And I'll stop judging myself. What I did is I went into meditation and I literally just visualized CJ with me. I saw you, CJ, sitting in front of me, and we were both sitting cross-legged, touching knees, and we had our hands placed on one another's laps. And I just kept saying in my head, CJ, so you were in my awareness. I kept you in my awareness the entire time. And this is what came up. I'm going to zoom in here. Hold on. Maybe not. I'm doing this a different way than I've done before. Give me a second. I'm actually going to hang with me, everyone. I want to zoom in on it. I'm going to do this a different way. Hold on. No, I hit the wrong button. It's like I've never done this before, but I have. Stop share. Let me start over. Share screen. Share. Okay, can you see it, CJ?
I can.
I'm going to zoom in. Can you see me zooming in?
Yes.
Okay. Now look at this. Do you see someone standing here with their arms up?
Like this?
Yes. I see arms up. I see hair blowing in the wind. I see a face. What do you see?
Well, at first glance, it was like that looked like a shield, like the triangle, like kind of like a kite-shaped shield.
I like that. I will
And
tell
then
you
like a banner on the bottom, right on the bottom left, on my bottom left, like a banner floating in the wind.
Listen to the vision I had while I was meditating. I had a vision of a woman, the south of France. It was specific. The woman was standing on the rocks, like the cliff on the south of France. I don't know. And she was standing there in a beautiful flowing gown, and the waves were crashing behind her. And when I pulled this out of the freezer, that's what I saw. I see this beautiful gown here flowing. And this to me feels kind of like rocks over
Like that's
here.
the cliff. Yep.
Yeah. And then standing here.
Wow.
I was like, what? You gotta be kidding me. So I love that. I love your interpretation of what you see too. This beautiful shield. It makes sense. Do you see your energy in this? That's my question.
Yeah, definitely.
I do too. It's so CJ. So CJ. I love it. I will share that with you. I will send that to you so you have that for yourself.
You know, it's funny. Every single time I've watched a podcast, I'm like, oh, I want to see what my crystals look like. And when you said that you did it, I was like, yes.
It's my favorite part. It's my favorite part. So thank you for letting me share that with you. Very, very cool. Very cool. What else is present for you? Let's talk about what you've got going. How can we experience CJ's energy? I know you're on social media because that's how we met.
Yeah.
Tell us how we can access you, and I will tell everyone that I will pull CJ's links and we will have them in the description so you can access her lovely, lovely magic.
All right. So I am on socials, CJC Boyd on Facebook and Instagram. I also host Awaken the Warrior on Phoenix TV. I have last seasons all are up on there. Haven't decided when I'm going to start season 2, but I am looking for people to interview. Basically, it's women who have been like, okay, all this stuff's happened in my life, and like you got swatted on the top of the head and said, okay, enough's enough. This is the moment. And I want to talk to women about what that moment was and what changed for them when they decided to say yes to themselves. That's basically what it is awakening that warrior and choosing yourself and being intentional about doing the things that are right for you. I've also created Queen by Design, which is, it's really personal to me because I feel like we all have that queen inside of us, and we are born as a queen, and as we go through life, everything that's shoved down on us, all those paradigms, all those things telling us, you're not good enough, you can't do this, children are to be seen, not heard, all those things, push us all down. But every single one of us has that queen inside. And so it's my mission and my goal for every single woman to uncover, unearth, unbury that queen that's inside. It's not becoming someone else, not trying to be that millionaire version, not looking for someone else, to step into a version of you. It's remembering who you are. That is what Queen by Design is remembering who the F you already are, and then honing in those skills and being willing to build that unwavering courage and the self-belief to say yes to you, to be like, okay, here I am queen, here I am, let's friggin' go. And so that's what Queen by Design is. I'm rolling out a 6-week immersion into that. It's funny, I created a Queen by Design quiz when a lot of, like 167 women have taken the quiz, and they're women in my field, and almost every single one of them comes up with the same summary of the same kind of queen that I am. So I thought that was really cool. And so attraction marketing is a thing, because I've attracted all these women who obviously are mirroring who I am and mirroring who they are. So that's where I can be found. I am on LinkedIn. I'm not real totally active on there, and Twitter, but Facebook's my main go-to.
What about your books? Will you tell us about your books, please?
Okay, so that's a little,
Best-selling author.
yeah, 2-time international best-selling author. Like, how is that even possible? When I was a little girl, I would write books all the time. I was bored out of my skull, and I was the only girl. I have 3 brothers. I was the only girl, so I'd sit in my room and I'd draw and I'd write, and I literally would write these stories, and then I would put them in paper, and I'd do the binding on the paper, and I made these books, and I had like 11 of them that I wrote. And I remember when my dad, long story short, my dad ended up burning them because I caught him doing something he's not supposed to do when he's married, and I told my mom. And so his reaction to that was burning all them, and I was like, I someday will be an author. That's my lifelong thing. I love words. I love creating stories. I love, captivating people with my words and that's just who I am. That's what I love. So this fell in my lap. I mean, no coincidence, but it fell in my lap. This lady reached out to me. She's like, hey, we've been reading your posts and we really love how you write. We'd love for you to be part of an anthology. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. She's like, no, I'm serious. And she's like, so we have like 5 different books. And I'm like, okay, tell me the titles. Cause I'm like, it's gotta land. And she went through all of them. The last one, she's like, it's Unleash Her. I'm like, I'm in. Don't say anymore. Unleash Her. That's my job. That's what I'm journeying. That's everything that's happening for me. So Unleash Her is just basically, it's me and 29 other women who have a chapter in the book saying, this is the moment that we decided we were going to unleash that thing that's deep inside and just go out into the world. And my chapter is called Pull the Damn Ripcord. Nobody's coming to save you, because I realize that I'm the only one that can save myself. And I've had so many people who have bought the books from me. You can buy it from me personally. You can get on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target. It's in every place that you can imagine it's there. But I love it when people buy it from me, because then I can sign it and just have that message. So that's really cool. And then it fell into my lap. Shortly after that one became an international best-selling book. They said, we're doing another one. It's called Dream Big, Do Bigger. It's one thing to unleash a dream, but it's another thing to do bigger. And my chapter in there is kind of my story where, like, my cafe closed, and I was like, yeah, I can do, I can serve people and have this amazing food experience and all these customer service things. But when I stopped being about me and, having people say, oh, your food is awesome. And I realized I need to serve on a bigger scale. I need to dream bigger. My little hometown of 800 people, I could only go so far, but dreaming bigger and doing bigger, being in the online space it's my story of coming into the online space and realizing that I have a mission to be able to inspire and activate and empower other women. And when you stop making it about you and you go out bigger, the world changes. And that's our job as women, to just be able to drip on other women what's possible and what's, amazing out there that they can do. And if I can do it, anybody can. So
That is amazing. So the 2 titles, right?
unleash her. Yep.
Okay.
And
Unleash
dream
Her.
big. And then dream big, do bigger.
Awesome. And we can access those Amazon pretty much anywhere, but if you want a signed copy, reach directly to CJ.
Yes. Thank you.
Amazing. And I want to drop this. Charlotte, who has been commenting, have to go into the group and look, CJ. She'd be a great person to interview.
Awesome.
She's amazing.
That'd be
So
cool.
plug for Charlotte.
Woohoo! I'll be reaching out to you, Charlotte.
Amazing. What else? Is there anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
I just want to, for anybody that's listening, watching, whatever, is that never discount yourself. Never think you're just a mom, a wife, whatever. You are on purpose. Every single one of us was created on purpose, with purpose, for a purpose. It's so much bigger than what we can even fathom. And your only job is to find joy in realizing what that purpose is. And then don't keep it to yourself. Everybody needs to give their gift to the world, because that's what's really going to change this planet, as each of us sharing our gifts, because every gift that you have is an integral piece to the puzzle that makes up this whole thing that's going to be magical. And when we all start to realize that, and we all come together and we do that, and we link arms to do that, we're not even going to recognize the world. We are going to have changed the trajectory of the planet just by being ourselves. And I think that's just so cool. And I just want every single woman to understand how beautiful you are. You're a gift just because you're here.
Beautiful. Thank you. On purpose.
Yeah.
Living on purpose. And CJ and I are a testament to, you are the company you keep. That's the first thing that I did for myself, is assessing my relationships. Yeah. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Because if they're not with you, they're against you.
Yeah.
If they are not where you are headed or on the way with you, they are hindering you. And we are deeply being called right now to set massive boundaries for ourselves, because we are being deeply called into mission to create a completely new earth on a completely different timeline. So now is the time. Look at who you are surrounding yourself with. That old lie about catty women who can't get along, who want to scratch each other's eyes out, that is a lie. That is a lie. There are so many women and men. There are so many women who have deeply expanded, deep, wide, in every direction, have expanded beyond that BS. Yeah. I was in it. I know CJ was in it at some point. As an RN, I was in that. I was in that paradigm, and it was not fun. Her and I engage with the highest level women, mostly women, but there are men. There are lots of men who are really kicking butt in this space. But there are so many women who will elevate you, who will support you. And it's pure freaking magic when you have powerful women living on purpose coming together. And Absolutely. So thank you, CJ, for being a part of that process for me. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your heart. I love you so much. I see big things for all of us, for both of us. Absolutely. And this is just a drop in the ocean that we are about to experience, for sure. It's going
to be big. So big.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Happy solstice. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.